Whispers in the Black Hills. The Blair Witch Chronicles. In the heart of Maryland, nestled between rolling hills and dense forest, sits the quiet town of Burkittsville. Known for its postcard charm and sleepy atmosphere, the town harbors a dark and ancient secret. Long before it became Burkittsville, the settlement was called Blair, and it was cursed. Eleanor Harper, a graduate student in folklore and myth, arrived in Burkittsville one overcast September morning. Her thesis centered on regional legends of witchcraft, and the infamous Blair Witch was a case study too rich to ignore. The stories fascinated her. A woman named Elly Kedward, accused of luring children into the woods and drinking their blood, was exiled in 1785. Tied to a wheelbarrow and dragged deep into the forest during winter, she was left to die. But the children who testified against her began to disappear shortly afterward. By spring, half the village's youth had vanished. Over the centuries, the legend transformed. Some claimed they heard whispers in the forest, saw strange stick figures hanging from branches, or felt the sensation of being watched when no one was there. People vanished. Hikers lost their way and were never seen again. Dogs refused to enter the woods. The town avoided speaking about the forest, as if naming it gave it power. Eleanor was determined to learn more. She met Mary Jacobs, a local who had lived in Burkittsville for 82 years. Mary was hesitant at first, but eventually relented. She remembered stories told to her as a child, about children walking into the woods at night and never coming back. About a hermit, Rustin Parr, who in the 1940s confessed to killing 7 children, claiming a woman's voice in his head made him do it. He said she stood in the corner while he did it, Mary whispered. He said if he didn't obey, she would take him too. Armed with her camera, voice recorder, and notebook, Eleanor ventured into the Black Hills forest. On her first day, she noticed small things: unnatural silence, odd totems hanging from trees, symbols carved into bark. As night fell, an oppressive darkness swallowed the forest. She built a small fire and listened to the playback on her recorder. Static filled the gaps, but beneath it she heard faint murmurs, whispers, unintelligible but rhythmic, like chanting. That night, Eleanor dreamed of a pale woman standing barefoot in the woods. Her eyes were empty, her hands gnarled, her mouth moving silently. When Eleanor awoke, her fire was extinguished, and a ring of small rocks surrounded her tent. She pressed deeper into the forest. Time lost meaning. Her watch stopped. The sun rose too late and set too early. She stumbled upon a leather-bound journal buried beneath leaves near a dried creek bed. Its pages were brittle and stained, filled with symbols and drawings. The handwriting shifted between different styles, as if multiple authors had contributed. The final pages were scrawled and frantic. She's watching. She knows I see her. The trees whisper her name. Eleanor began finding landmarks she'd passed before, though she'd walked in a straight line. Her compass spun endlessly. She couldn't find her way back. Trees moved. Her own voice whispered back at her in the dark. Her notes began to contain entries she didn't remember writing. A storm broke out without warning. Eleanor took shelter in an abandoned cabin, its walls lined with children's handprints, its floor littered with broken toys and animal bones. The wind howled outside, but within, the air was dead still. She turned to see a child's drawing on the wall. A tall, thin woman with no face, arms extended, looming over a group of stick children. Beneath it, scrawled in charcoal, were the words, "She never left." The cabin shook. Eleanor felt eyes on her, though she was alone. Then, from the shadows, shapes began to emerge. Translucent forms of children with empty eyes and sunken cheeks. Behind them, towering and still, stood the witch. Her body flickered, unreal. Her mouth did not move, but her voice filled Eleanor's head. You see me now. You carry the story. It is yours. Eleanor raised the journal and began to recite a chant she'd read. Unsure of the language but desperate. The shadows shrieked, and the witch's form dissipated into black mist. Silence returned. The cabin collapsed behind her as she fled into the trees, light breaking through the branches for the first time in days. She emerged from the forest at dawn, caked in mud, journal in hand. Her camera was broken. Her recorder had melted inside her pack. She stumbled into town, gaunt and hollow-eyed. Few believed her. Locals nodded with pity, chalking it up to hysteria or stress. But the journal, with its layered handwriting and arcane drawings, found its way into academic circles. Paranormal investigators pored over it. Internet forums lit up with theories. Still, no one dared follow in her footsteps. Eleanor published her thesis under the title The Blair Witch and the Collapse of Regional Reality. She left Burkittsville shortly after and never returned. Interviews with her later in life reveal a woman haunted, not by what she saw, but by what still calls to her from deep in the forest. Years passed. Then a group of thrill seekers, true crime podcasters chasing internet fame, entered the Black Hills forest. They live-streamed their journey, mocking the legend. The broadcast cut out at sunset. None of them were seen again. And once more, Burkittsville fell silent.